Welcome to today's press conference with head coach Joe Moorhead previewing the Tennessee game. Coach, if you make an opening statement and we'll follow with some questions.
Yeah, certainly not the result we were hoping for or expecting coming out of Michigan State. Ran into a buzzsaw, one of the top teams in the country. I thought we had a fast start, moved the ball well offensively, got down to the 15 before we fumbled, and kind of changed the momentum of the game. I think we had 150 yards of total offense in the first quarter. But you can't turn the ball over against a team of Michigan State's caliber 4 times and expect to have an opportunity to win. And then certainly explosive play battle, third down in red zone. We weren't particularly good either. So I was displeased with the outcome, but I thought our kids competed hard for 4 quarters. I didn't see any quit in them. And, when you're a process-oriented organization and you're looking to take the positives out of a game, where you're outmanned, I thought there were a lot of things to correct, but a lot of things upon which we can build.
Our way, George. Is there an update on Irons?
Day-to-day, lower body injury. So they discharged him on Saturday evening. He didn't have to stay over. He was back with the team and, was at practice yesterday. So, get a bunch of treatment today and, see where we go for Tuesday.
In the event that he can't go, what should we know about Undercuffler?
Had a ton of success at Albany as an FCS player. Got into the playoffs one year. I think he had 41 touchdowns his best season. Big, tall guy, strong arm, accurate. More of a pocket guy than a dual threat. And thought he had some jitters in his first appearance at this level in that environment. I thought he settled in pretty well in the fourth quarter. I think Joe mentioned he was 6-9 and made some good decisions. So a smart kid, got a lot of tools, not much of a runner, but a guy that was anxious to compete at this level, which is why he went in the portal.
You mentioned his nervousness in getting in, and there are a lot of guys who played against Power 5 teams before you got here.
Yeah.
But on this stage and on that stage last week, is it possible that there was some nervousness there to account for that performance?
Absolutely. And even, our returning guys who've, had the opportunity to play at Ohio State and Auburn and, some different schools in the past, had a little bit of that experience. And our portal guys who were, FBS or Power 5 transfers, I think the experience for them was different in the sense that they weren't the primary guy at their prior school, where they were maybe a backup or a guy that was, playing in a reserve role. Now they're coming into a place where they're, a starter and expected to play a bunch of minutes at a high level. So I think that the transition for those guys was just as significant as the ones who were returners who maybe hadn't played in an environment such as Spartan Stadium.
What were the guys like after the game was over? What was the trip home like?
The bus ride was subdued and quiet, which you would hope is the case. And I think there was equal parts in the locker room of despondency and hope, which is an odd juxtaposition. Upset that, we moved the ball at times, we stopped them at times, and we showed flashes of consistency, but not enough to be in a game, make it a game against a team of that caliber. But at the same time, and I had multiple people who watched the game and, got in touch with me afterwards and said that even though the score didn't indicate it, it looked like you guys, improved and took positive steps forward. So I think obviously upset and will never be pleased or satisfied with the loss. So that's part of it. And I want it to hurt and want them to know how that feels and not like that feeling. But at the same point, as we mentioned this week, as we're digging out of this hole and working to build a program with sustained success, there are things that we need to do to improve on a daily basis, not just for Michigan State, but for Tennessee, Liberty, moving forward this year and for the years to come.
When did they need to chuck the despondency this week then?
This week, after the team meeting. So we came in yesterday. Obviously, Mez's staff watched the game. The kids got their treatment, and we had our team meeting. And we do every week. We review the performance indicators, explosive play margin, turnover battle, red zone, third down, special teams hitting yards battle, rushing, sacks, all that thing. And we're just, we're blunt, straightforward, and honest with what we did well, what we didn't do well. And we talk about, refocus, recover, and respond. And those are the things we got to do this week.
What has to be done to get your run game going?
Combination of things, right? The run game, and I've talked about it for years. It's numbers, it's angles, right, and it's grass. Where can you get your people in space? And St. Francis did some nice things in terms of their pressure package that made the numbers and the angles difficult for us. And I thought we opened up a little bit in the fourth quarter and saw some positive things. Against Michigan State, we're solid up front, but they had better personnel than us, and they're a very stingy run defense who makes it difficult to gain yards on the ground, not just against Akron, but anybody they played. So we knew that was going to be tough sledding. We knew we had to utilize the quarterback in a run game, and when he was in there and operating, we were moving the ball on the ground. Now, you lose that aspect of it, and Jeff's not a guy that runs a lot. You kind of got to change the game plan a little bit. So I guess we've got to block better. We've got to make sure we're putting our kids in position to be successful, to account for the extra guy in the box by RPO or by the quarterback running the ball. And then, we just got to be more consistent, running behind our pads and falling forward.
Are you anticipating any changes this week on the offensive line, or no?
No, we're going to keep, Jordan Daniels was a change, and I thought he fought and, competed and did well, and, did some things with, quick game, moving the launch point, using screens, helping in protection. I think that helped a little bit, but we, there's probably a group of, 7 to 8 guys that we rotate through there, during the course of the week, and continue. Like I said, this is new for the staff and new for the kids as well. So we're, keep competing and keep working to find the best combination. So to answer your question, yes, it's possible that we'll see some changes, but we also may see the same group. We'll give them a chance to compete this week.
What are you expecting from Tennessee this week, given the way that they lost?
Tennessee, they ended up beating Pitt in overtime.
Did they?
Yeah, they beat Pitt in overtime.
Oh,
yeah, it ended up
right.
going to overtime. They won. Yeah,
My mistake.
so they won 34-27 in overtime. Tied at the end of it. They scored on their first possession. Pitt got a first down, and then they had a huge third down stop to knock them out, and then knocked down the fourth down pass.
See, I thought it went the other
No,
way.
so well. So I guess the 72 Dolphins and the 85 Bears were busy this week.
Yeah.
So from a scheduling standpoint, we couldn't figure out. So we guess we'd go with Tennessee. But I mean, they're going to be riding high. They're 2-0. I think they just got in the top 15, if I'm not mistaken, or even higher. But they're explosive on offense. They're stingy on defense, and they play hard on special teams. And it'll be in front of 100,000 in an SEC environment. So I think they're excited about what they're doing. Coach Heupel's done a great job so far, and it's going to be a huge challenge.
You mentioned the nervousness possibly being on a stage like that.
Yeah.
How do you avoid it a second weekend in a row, or do you?
Of the things that we did well, I thought, the noise, the snap counts, I don't think there were a ton of pre-snap penalties, and I thought the kids handled that aspect of it well. This is a little bit of a different environment, so same thing, we'll go down there a little bit early, take a walk around the stadium so the guys can see it. But, you have the boats coming in on the river, you have the checkerboard end zones, you have, all the fans in orange. It's different than Michigan State, but it'll be equally as challenging for our guys.
How much different? Is it more intense, SEC versus Big Ten, or is it team dependent?
I think you really throw a dart. I think it's team dependent. You look at Penn State, and I would, take their whiteout game and some of the stripe outs, and then the Ohio State and other places in the Big Ten, Wisconsin, and then you go down to the SEC and I don't know, LSU at night. There's a bunch of different places that probably have a similar type of environment, and Tennessee's among those.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Guys.
Anthony Williams, moving to wide receiver,
Yeah.
he got a couple targets. How would you say he did this past week?
Anthony's got to continue to work on, with the position change, the mental aspect of it, going from running back to receiver and the different routes, and us playing left and route receiver. So we got to keep ramping him up in terms of understanding what we're doing, and he's doing a good job progressing with that. But there was a logjam for carries at running back. He did a real nice job in the spring, running routes, catching the ball out of the backfield, and it's the deployment of personnel and talent. So we felt, he would be better served and be able to get more snaps and productivity at the wideout spot, and he's continuing to grow there. And fast guy that can run get open and separate versus man and catches the ball well. So it was good for him to get a couple catches, and it'll bode us well moving forward in the schedule.
Coach, you mentioned Brian McCoy as a guy for fans to look
Yeah.
forward to watching play for the next 4 years. Any other young kids who are jumping out at you early now that are playing well?
I mean, guys that are on the travel roster right now, Brian McCoy is a guy that's, on a bunch of special teams, and I think he's a future star on this team and in this league. I mean, he's a very talented football player. Kyle Murphy's another guy that we're probably going to redshirt, the defensive tackle, that's doing a real nice job. Markel Darnell at tight end is another guy that probably won't see time this year, but has a huge upside. And then Bobby Golden has played. He's on a travel roster, has played a bunch through because of injury. And then I think both Jennings and Charles Kellum. And then all three, actually, Kamari Landers, Tyler Williams, Keelan Davis, all three offensive linemen, they look like Division I college linemen from a size and speed and physicality standpoint. So I go through all of them, but I think I'm very pleased with our freshman class. And if I didn't mention Jaron Griffin, the linebacker for out of Mississippi, he's a guy that's going to be a really, really good football player in this league as well.
Coach, thank you for this week's press conference. We look forward to Saturday night's game at 7 p.m. at Tennessee. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Go Zips.